Okay, good morning.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Good morning, Kenny. All right, so this is going to be our final shiur before Tishrei, unfortunately, I'm sad about that always because there's so much in Tishrei that I want to speak about, and I never get a chance to speak about Yom Kippur and Sukkot and Simchos Torah, and I never give a shiur on any of those things, and it's just really time. Okay. Yep. Okay, so let's begin. So a few prefaces to this shiur and why I chose this particular shiur when I was preparing. This is a theme. I even think we did this same theme, maybe like a month or so ago. I can't remember, but it was very recent. Also about Rosh Hashanah, about Elul, and what our Aveda needs to be. How do we prepare ourselves properly for the Yom Neroyim? That's really, we're all in that mindset now. We're all in that El mindset. But whenever I see a theme by a certain author and then I see the exact same theme by a totally different author in a completely different context, but it's the same underlying message, and they both come to the same conclusion of this is the underlying message of Chodesh Elul, of preparation for Rosh Hashanah. So when I see two different authors in two different contexts come to that same message, that's clearly a message that Hashem wants us to know. That's clearly a message our Talmidei Chachamim are bringing to the forefront. And so that's sort of the welcome, come on in. That's what brought me to this shiur, and it'll become clear as we begin. So again, all of these parshias, these Elul parshias, Ki Seitze, Ki Savo, Sheftim, Re'eh, these are all the Elul parshias, and in addition to obviously their simple understanding, it's clear that there's one of the things that we do in this year is go beyond the simple understanding and see the deeper messaging in the parshias, and all these parshias clearly have deeper messaging for us in our preparation. As I quote all the time, the Shnei Luchos Abris, the Shalah, who says that whenever a parsha comes out a certain time of year, or the smichas are in connection to a certain Yom Tov, even though there's no simple external connection, clearly there's a thematic connection. And really, one of the ways to look at the parsha for the parshias are this is Hashem speaking to us today. This is Hashem's message to us today. So it's not just we're learning about what happened to Klal Yisrael in the desert experience 3,000 years ago. Embedded in those stories are eternal messages for every generation. The Torah is one with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem is infinite, and therefore the Torah is infinite. So it doesn't only belong to one time frame of history. That would be a very sort of simplistic way of looking at it. A deeper way of looking at the Torah and how we're meant to look at it is this is Hashem's communication with us. So these parshias are Hashem's telling us how do we prepare ourselves for the coming days. Okay. So Parshas Ki Savo, as we all know, opens up with the mitzvah of Bikurim. Okay, the mitzvah of Bikurim, and the mitzvah of Bikurim is when the Jewish people were finished conquering the land of Eretz Yisrael, and the land was all divided, and everybody had their portion. So the farmers, which was an agrarian society for the most part, the farmers had a mitzvah that every year when the new fruits would begin to blossom and bloom, they would denote the new fruits, and then at a certain time of the year, all of the farmers would come to Yerushalayim and bring these new fruits to the Beis Hamikdash and bring them to the Kohanim in the Beis Hamikdash. And it was really a huge event in Yerushalayim. The Mishnah describes how Jerusalem would close, and the stores would all close, and everybody would come out into the streets, and there'd be this massive parade for the Bikurim, for the first fruits. And obviously there's a lot of messaging and a lot of themes and a lot of lessons that are embedded in this mitzvah of the first fruits, and we've spoken about it before, the mitzvah of gratitude, or the message of gratitude, and how important that is. I want to talk about something else today in connection with the first fruits, another message, underlying theme behind it, and that is what do the first fruits represent? That in the winter, everything seems to die. All of the trees seem to die. The leaves fall off. There's no more fruits. And when the new fruits come, it's a hischadshus. It's sort of a renewal a renewal of life. And that's really the underlying theme. And we're thanking Hashem for that renewal, for that hischadshus, for bringing sort of death back to life, if you will. But one of the interesting things about in our Parsha, I'm just going to share the screen for those who are here on Zoom, so you could follow along. And those who are here in person could just, oops, let me go back to, okay. So if you take a look in Pasuk Gimel here in our Parsha on the screen, this is the third Pasuk in our Parsha. And this is coming, this is after the first two the first two psukim, which speak about when we conquer the land, Ki Savo Aretz, when we come into the land, L'kachta Mereshis Kol Pri Adama, we should take the first fruits, put them in the basket, and bring them to Yerushalayim. Bring them to the place where Hashem designated his name. That is, of course, Yerushalayim. And then the third pasuk, we see there seems to be a redundancy. And then whenever there's a redundancy, there's clearly that should set up alarms for us. There's something the Torah is teaching us there. And the third pasuk says, "Uva'asa el hakohen," and you should bring these first fruits. You should come to the Kohen, Uva'asa el hakohen, and you should come to the Kohen, Asher yeh biyamim hahem. Which Kohen should you come to? The one who will be serving in those days. Now, what's the obvious question? The obvious question is, of course, you're coming to the Kohen who's serving in those days. What other Kohanim would you be coming to? You can't come to the Kohanim of the past. You can't come to the Kohanim of the future. You can only come to the Kohanim who are Asher Yeh B'Yamim Hahem. So why does the Torah need to tell us that? You should come to the Kohen Asher Yeh B'Yamim Hahem. Which Kohen? The one that's there in those days. That's obvious. That's the only Kohen you can come to. So that's question number one. What is that redundancy? And again, whenever there's a redundancy, that is really the Torah's way of saying, Darshani, darshan me. The Torah is trying to imbue a knowledge to us, or a lesson to us. And our job is to figure out what that is. That's question number one. Question number two about the Bikurim is, as the pasuk continues, the Torah speaks about, or the Torah delineates, there's a whole prayer that we would say when the person would bring the first fruits. And what is this prayer that the person would say? Well, part of that prayer, part of the inclusion of that prayer is this a whole thing about Arami Eved Avi, that an Aramite tried to destroy my father. And Rashi says, who is this talking about? Lavan Shabikish La'akares Akel. Lavan, Rashi says, who sought La'akares Akel, to completely uproot and destroy all of Klal Yisrael. And in fact, we say this in the Haggadah, right? Arami Eved Avi, because this is part of the Jewish history. So when you bring the Bikurim, you go through sort of like this whole sort of confessional about I've done all the mitzvahs, etc. I've done everything I'm supposed to do. But part of this is this sort of review of Jewish history, and we mentioned specifically Lavan, who and Rashi says, why do we mention Lavan? Because Lavan tried to Eikeres HaPel, tried to uproot everything, tried to destroy Klal Yisrael. So question number two is, number one, why, of all the things that we mentioned in this small little Bikurim prayer, why is Lavan mentioned here? What is Lavan? Why is Lavan a part of this? And the other question is, where do we see that Lavan was Eikeres HaPel? Where do we see, Lavan was a deceiver, clearly. Lavan was a Ganav. He tried to steal from Yaakov, deceived him with his wife, gave him the wrong wife, tried to deceive him with his wages. Lavan was not a good guy, that's for sure. But where do we see that Lavan was Eikeres HaKel? Where do we see that? What is Rashi referring to? We say that in the Haggadah as well. So clearly there is something there, but where do we see that? That's question number two. Question number three is that there are 3 times in this parsha where a certain phrase is mentioned. And all 3 of them don't really make sense. And I'm going to again share the screen with you so those of you who are on Zoom could see this in actuality. Number 3, look at the Pasuk Tes Zayin at the conclusion of the mitzvah of Bikurim and Maishus, etc. It says Hayom Hazeh, and that is the expression. 3 different times in this parsha we see Hayom Hazeh. Hayom Hazeh Hashem Elokecha mitzavcha la'aseh tzarchukim ha'elu. On this day, Hashem has commanded you to fulfill this mitzvah, the mitzvah of Bikurim. But the commandment wasn't this day. The commandment was by Har Sinai. The mitzvahs were all given at Har Sinai. So Moshe Rabbeinu is repeating some of them now at the end of his life and going over some of them. But why is it Hayom Hazeh Hashem Elokecha mitzavcha la'aseh? Today Hashem commanded you. It's not true. It wasn't today. So why Hayom Hazeh? Why does the Torah say that? And again, we see this in another place in the parsha. We see this in look at this on your screen, Pasuk Tes in Perek Chav Zayin. Hayom Hazeh na'isa la'amash l'Hashem Elokecha. On this day, Moshe Rabbeinu tells Klal Yisrael, on this day you become a nation. It's not true. They didn't become a nation on this day. Hayom Hazeh na'isa la'am l'Hashem Elokecha. On this day, Pasuk Tes. On this day you become a nation. They didn't become a nation on this day. They became a nation, you can say, at Yetzias Mitzrayim, at Har Sinai, they became a nation. Why is Moshe Rabbeinu telling them on this day they became a nation? What is this? And then again, we see in another place where it doesn't make sense. In Pasuk Gimel. Until this day, Hashem has not given you a leiv ladas, an understanding heart, has not given you a nayim lirois, eyes to see the truth, as nayim lishmoya, and ears to hear the truth. When did you get a heart to understand, and eyes to see, and ears to hear the emes? Adayim is that this day. But again, that's also what is Moshe Rabbeinu referring to, and why the repetition over and over again 3 different times in this parsha. Hayom Hazeh. Obviously, when you have a theme that's repeated over and over again, seemingly, especially when it doesn't really make sense in the context, obviously the Torah is giving us a message. And so the question is, what is that message? And so this is what I want to speak about. Let's try to go back now and answer all of these questions and sort of understand the theme of Parshas Ki Savo and what the Torah is really trying to imbue and inculcate within us. And that is, and again, it's a theme that we spoke about a few months ago, and we learned it from a completely different author, the Lekach HaLibuv by Rabbi Avram Shor, where he mentioned the minimum size of a shofar is the size of a handbreadth. And there he mentions, and here it's applicable today, if there's the greatest, if you could think in your own mind, one of the greatest impediments to making real change in our lives, to doing real teshuva, to really making change. And also it's the same impediment to real joy, to really experiencing joy in life. The greatest impediment is our anxiety about our past and our anxiety about the future. We think, for example, that because I didn't, let's say, for example, remember I was speaking to somebody about putting on tefillin. And this isn't somebody who puts on tefillin every day. And so I told him, come to shul and let's put on tefillin together. And he said, like, what's the point? I'm not going to put on tefillin every day. So what's the point of putting it on today? I know I'm not putting it on tomorrow, and I'm not putting it on next week, and I may not put it on for another month. So if that's the case, Rabbi, what am I accomplishing? What's the point? If I'm not making any major life changes and resolving to put on tefillin every day. And this is fascinating because this was exactly the critique that many had on the Lubavitcher Rebbe when he started the campaign of tefillin. And he started it specifically in relationship to Eretz Yisrael during the one of the wars, when he says, this is a way. When we put on tefillin, we strengthen Am Yisrael. We strengthen Klal Yisrael. We strengthen Eretz Yisrael. So even if you meet a Jew who has never put on tefillin before her, who doesn't regularly put on tefillin, and he puts on tefillin that one day, that is empowering to Klal Yisrael. It is profound, it is powerful, and the mitzvah is incredibly accomplishing. And so this was the criticism that so many in the Orthodox world had. That what is the Rebbe accomplishing? What's the point of putting on tefillin on somebody who doesn't appreciate it, is not going to put it on tomorrow? What are you accomplishing? It seems like a complete waste of time. And the answer the Rebbe gave is that is so not true. That every moment is an independent moment, independent of every other moment that comes before or after it. And what you accomplish in that moment is independent of what will come before or after. And so oftentimes, and this is how it is every single day, that every single day is, as we say in our tefillah, that every single day Hashem recreates the world over and over again. Every day is a brand new creation. And so, yes, there's some connection between my past and my present, my future, but in a very real way, every day is an independent creation. And so my job is not to ensure that I am going to achieve spiritual perfection for the rest of my life. My job is to accomplish today, to be my best today, to win today, to have a spiritual victory today. And even if I'm not going to accomplish this spiritual victory for the rest of my life, even if it's not something I'm going to continue, the fact that I win today, the fact that I accomplish it today is incredibly profound and powerfully important. And it's the underlying understanding of the schadshus of every day. Hashem is mechadish every day. And so even if I didn't win yesterday and I'm not going to win tomorrow, I can achieve today. And that's the key. And I'll tell you on a personal level where I myself have to take this lesson. I had an amazing father, incredible, Olav Shalom. And my father-in-law had a real desire. First of all, I was completely unworthy of marrying his daughter, and he realized that. And so, some of you have met my mother-in-law. You see what an incredible person she is. And if you, unfortunately, I don't think anybody here has met my father-in-law. But if you would meet my father-in-law, see what an incredible person he is, and my mother-in-law, then you would understand where my wife comes from and how she is, who she is. But my father-in-law was an incredible. I mean, there's so many things about him. I can give a whole shiur on him, an incredible Talmid Chacham. And he desired that I should do daf yomi. I mean, I have to have some keli to be worthy of his daughter. And so he wanted me, and he tried to encourage me. And I was like, I don't have the time. There's no way. I just can't. I don't have the time. I can't do it. It's just not. I'm not in that stage of life where I'm able to do daf yomi. And he never stopped encouraging me. And he even got me a shas, and he even got me the art scroll shas. And he just so wanted me to do this. And I loved my father-in-law, and I wanted to impress him, and I wanted to be worthy of his daughter. So there were a few times where I started it, but you know what really, why I didn't accomplish it, each time I started it, I ended up falling off of it and not doing it and not finishing it, was because it was just so daunting that I'm never going to be able to dedicate every day to doing a daf. I mean, I could do today, but I know my schedule already next week, and I know Tishray's coming, and I know, the life of a Chabad rabbi is there's always something. And and one of the things that prevented me is exactly this. My anxiety about I'll never be able to finish it anyway. There's no way I'll be able to accomplish this. Because that's the thing with daf yomi. When you fall behind, that train doesn't stop. And then once you fall behind, it's like, oh, I'm already behind, and I'm not going to be able to catch up. And even though when that happened and I fell behind, I should have just said, you know what? I fell behind. I'm behind, but I could do today. But I didn't do that because I already fell behind. I already missed 3 days. There's no way I'm going to be able to continue in the future. Literally this. And so yeah, the resolution of this year should be daf yomi, but I'm not yet holding that. I'm still struggling with what I'm giving this year. Yeah. Well, Avi, I'm really giving this year for you. That's the thing. So Hashem wants you to hear this. And it's because of exactly this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But he did a month ahead, and he did, and he had a bunch of other shiurim every day, and he was working, long hours. And my father was an incredible human being that I can never match my father-in-law in what he was, and but this is what he wanted from me, and I was never able to accomplish it. And this is the reason why, was because I would miss a few days. I was, what's the point? I missed a few days. I already lost. I know I'm not gonna be able to do it in the future. And the real focus, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Correct. It's a great point. That's a great point. And this is what Hashem wants from us. The Ratzon of Hashem is that our focus, our intention, our mindfulness should be focused on today, on fixing today, on being the best version of myself today. Am I going to be the same version every single day going forward? No, maybe not. Was I this version every day in the past? No, maybe not. And the same thing with our happiness. Even when things are well, and even when things are going well, and everything is sort of aligned right, the one thing that keeps me from preventing me, or not me, but I'm saying me, us, as is we're anxious about our past, we're worried about the future. Well, it's not going to continue. Well, in the future, things are coming up, and we our anxiety. Yes, I have enough money and I have enough resources for today, but I don't know how I'm going to pay my mortgage next month. How am I going to pay the electric bill? How am I going to retire, et cetera, et cetera. We have such anxiety about our past and about our future that it prevents our joy today, and it prevents our change today. And so this is the Ratzon of Hashem, to realize that that every day is a new day, and our job is to win this moment, to win this day, to be the best version we could be this day. And this is what it means in our pasuk. Let me just go back and share the screen for a second. This is what it means in the pasuk. V'loi nasen Hashem lechem leiv ladas. Ayinayim liros eznayim lishmaya. When will we have hearts of understanding? When will we be able to see the truth and hear the truth? Ad hayom hazeh, until we learn the lesson of hayom hazeh, to focus, to concentrate on hayom hazeh. When we understand hayom hazeh, the lesson of Hayom Hazeh, and that's why 3 times in Parshas Ki Savo, our Elul Parsha, that always comes out a week or 2 weeks before Rosh Hashanah. Over and over again, the repetition is Hayom Hazeh, because that's the key to Chodesh Elul, because that's the key to teshuva. The key to real teshuva is not 100% changing myself so that I know I will never sin again. I will never stumble again in the same thing that I'm constantly stumbling in. That's not the key. The key is Hayom Hazeh. Fix today. Win today. Win that spiritual battle, emotional battle, that psychological battle. Win it today. And that's when we'll have Leiv Ladas and Nayim Liros, says Nayim Lishmaya. When will we see, hear, understand the truth? At Hayom Hazeh, when we understand the lesson of Hayom Hazeh. And that's why Hayom Hazeh repeats itself over and over again. Who understood this well? You know who understood this well, who lived this? The Torah testifies about it. Avram Zakin Ba B'Yamim. What does that mean, that he was Zakin Ba B'Yamim? So Zakin Ba B'Yamim, the Torah translates, or the English translations translate it as 2 expressions for exceedingly old. But Bob translated literally. Ba B'Yamim literally means he came into every single day. He was a zaken already at old age. He could look back and realize every single day Avram Avinu made the most and the best out of that day. That's what Ba B'Yamim means. He came with everything he had. He gave everything to every single day. Avram Avinu understood that Hashem is mechadish b'kol yom tov ma'aseh bereshis. Avram Avinu understood every day is an independent day, and every day he came into that day with everything that he had, and that's what the Torah is testifying to. And that's why the end of the pasuk is Avram Zakin Ba B'Yamim v'Hashem Beirachas Avram B'Kol. What does that mean, that Hashem blessed him with Kol? When I believe that, when I live with Hayom Hazeh, when I don't have anxiety about the future, and I'm not worried I have enough parnasa today, but I don't have enough parnasa to last me forever, and that causes me anxiety. When I am able to rid myself of that anxiety and focus on today, you know what? I have the recognition that everything that I need for today, Hashem has given me today. That means I have everything. I have kol. I have it all. I have everything I need for this day. Hashem berach es Avram b'kol. Hashem gave Avram a blessing that he had this midah of kol. He had the total satisfaction with everything that he has today. That's Hashem berach es Avram b'kol, and that's what that comes from. What? From being ba b'yamim. And this is who else? Who learned this from Avraham Avinu? Yaakov Avinu. We see when Yaakov meets Esav, and Esav says, Yeshli Rav. What's Yaakov's response? Yeshli Kol. I have the midah of Kol. And Yaakov Avinu, notwithstanding all of his anxieties and all of his difficulties that he went through in Beis Lavan, Yaakov Avinu was able to keep his spiritual equilibrium because Yaakov Avinu had the midah of Kol, of being rejoicing that whatever he needed today, he had today. And this is what Lavan tried to uproot with Yaakov Avinu. That's why Lavan switched his wife, because Lavan understood that Yaakov wanted to marry Rachel because he saw with Ruach HaKodesh, he's meant to have shvatim with her. He's meant to have children with her. So Lavan switched the wives on him so that he would uproot this midah of Yaakov Avinu of not worrying about anything, to make Yaakov worry about his future. If I have the wrong wife, how am I going to have those children that I meant to have? And that's why he switched his wages, to make him be concerned about his parnasa. The one thing that Lavan tried to uproot was Yaakov Avinu's tranquility, was Yaakov Avinu's peace of mind. But Yaakov Avinu understood that whatever he has today is exactly what Hashem wants him to have. He understood this Hayom Hazeh. He lived every day independently. But that was what Lavan tried to uproot. And that's why we say, Bikish Lavan la'akar es hakol. He wanted to take away the midah of kol from Yaakov Avinu by switching his wife, by changing his wages. That's where we see that Lavan was Eker Es HaKol. Doesn't mean he tried to uproot all of Klal Yisrael and destroy Klal Yisrael. And why do we mention this Lavan during the mitzvah? This is why we mention Lavan during the mitzvah of Bikurim. Because what does Bikurim teach us? Bikurim teaches us his chadshus, thanking Hashem for the renewal. Bikurim reminds me, when I bring the Bikurim, that every day is Bikurim. Every day is Yischachus. Every day is a new day. And every day is a new day. That what I have this day is exactly what Hashem wants from me. And my job is to focus not on the past and not on the future, but to focus on Hayom Hazeh, to focus on today. That's what Bikurim reminds me of. And so therefore, in the confessional of Bikurim, to remind ourselves of that. And for us who aren't bringing Bikurim, when we learn the Torah, we're reminded, we mention Lavan. And Rashi says, why do we mention Lavan? Because Lavan tried to Eker Es HaKol, to uproot this midah of kol that Bikurim teaches us. The renewal of the world, and how Hashem gives me everything I have. Everything I have for today, Hashem gave me for that day. I have exactly what I need. The mitzvah Bikurim teaches me, focus on today. Focus on the yischachus of today, on the new day of today. This is the key to teshuva. And this is why we have the mitzvah Bikurim a few weeks before Rosh Hashanah. And this is why we mentioned Lavan in that mitzvah Bikurim. Who else excelled in this mitzvah of focusing on today? Because when you focus on today and you recognize that every day is a new day, it's as if all of the mitzvahs were given me brand new every single day. When I live that way, I fulfill the mitzvahs with a real passion. You see, human nature is, and we spoke about this before, and we speak about this in Tanya class all the time, human nature is that we do the same mitzvahs repeatedly every single day. We lose our passion. We lose it. It becomes robotic. It becomes habitual. It becomes rote. But when we recognize, I mean, look at. I'm just going to pull up the screen over here for a second and just look. What does Rashi say at the Hayom Hazeh Ne'isa La'am? on this day you become a nation. What does Rashi say? Why does Hashem say on this day? We didn't become a nation this day. Says Rashi, what the Torah is trying to teach us is B'kol yom yeh beinecha ki'ilu hayom basa imei b'bris. Every day it's a new day, it's a new covenant. Every day it's as if Hashem made us a nation today. Every day is renewed. That's the message. And the same thing with Bikurim. When it says, Hayom hazeh Hashem Elokecha mitzavecha la'asis l'chumeh. On this day, Hashem commanded you to bring Bikurim. Hashem didn't command us to bring Bikurim on this day. So why does the Torah say this day? What does Rashi say? B'kol yom yeh beinecha chadashim. And every day, every mitzvah needs to be brand new, as if Hashem gave it to us this day. Because this is what the mitzvah Bikurim is teaching us, but it's even deeper than that. The message is even deeper. What the message is saying is, Hayom hazeh, to imbue the lesson of focusing on Hayom hazeh, Hashem Elokecha mitzavecha la'asahu. Hashem gave us the mitzvah of Bikurim. The mitzvah of Bikurim focuses us. It reminds us of the renewal, reminds us that every day is a new day, and that every day we have a brand new connection to the mitzvahs. And every day it's as if the mitzvahs are coming to us anew, and therefore we should have a passion and a yearning and a desire in every mitzvah. And who excelled in this? Aaron HaKohen. Where do we see this? When in the beginning of Parshas Bahaleischa, when Hashem gives Moshe Rabbeinu the mitzvah of the menorah, and it says that Moshe told the mitzvah of the menorah was Aaron HaKohen's mitzvah, and so Moshe Rabbeinu gives the mitzvah to Aaron. And the Torah says, V'yas Kain Aaron. That Aaron did. V'yas Kain, Aaron did exactly as Moshe Rabbeinu said. And says Rashi, that this is Lahagid Shiflei Sha'aron Shaloi Shina. This teaches us that the Torah is praising Aaron, that he didn't deviate. He didn't deviate from the mitzvah. And the obvious question that everybody asks is, what kind of praise is that? Of course Aaron's not going to deviate from the mitzvah. Why would we think Aaron would deviate from the mitzvah? Of course Aaron wouldn't deviate. That's praise that he doesn't deviate from the mitzvah. What is Rashi saying? What is the Torah saying? V'yas Kain Aaron. So says the Sfas Emes. It's so beautiful. The Sfas Emes says, it's not praising Aaron that he didn't deviate from the mitzvah. It's praising Aaron that he didn't deviate from the passion, from the excitement, from the yearning that he had the very first time he did the mitzvah to every single time. It was V'yas Kain Aaron. Aaron did the same. They served that menorah and did the mitzvah of the menorah with V'yas Kain, the same exact passion. Shaloi Shina, he never deviated from that passion. Why did Aaron never deviate from that passion? Where was Aaron's excitement from? Because Aaron understood this idea of B'kol Yom, Mechadish B'tuvah B'kol Yom, that Hashem recreates every single day. And every single day it's as if it's the first time he's doing that mitzvah. And therefore he had that passion. And that's why we say, let's go back to our very first question. Our very first question of the parsha of the Shiur was, why does it say bring it to the Kohen who is serving in those days? Let's go back to the Uvasa El HaKohen. You should come to the Kohen Asher Yeh B'yamim Hahem, who exists in those days. What do you mean? That's the only Kohen you could come to. It doesn't make any sense. This is what it's saying. What is it's giving us a remez to what the mitzvah Bikurim is trying to teach us. Uva'asa El HaKohen, when you do this mitzvah of Bikurim, you mention Lavan, who was Aker, the Midah of Kel from Yaakov Avinu, who tried to take away this Midah of Kel from us. Again, the Midah of Kel is the understanding that everything I have today is exactly what Hashem wants from me today. That my job is not to be anxious about the future. I have the wrong wife, and I'm not going to have the right children, and I'm not going to be changing my wages, and I'm not going to have enough parnasa. That was what Lavan wanted to Aker es HaKel, but Yaakov Avinu kept his spiritual tranquility. He kept the Kel. And this is what the mitzvah Bikurim reminds us of, and that's why we mentioned Lavan during the mitzvah Bikurim. And the mitzvah Bikurim teaches us, Uva'asa El HaKohen. If you want to fulfill the mitzvah Bikurim properly, Uva'asa El HaKohen, you should come to the Kohen. It doesn't mean the external Kohen, the Kohen Gadol. It means this Kohen, the Kohen within you, the Aaron HaKohen within you. It's a reference to Aaron HaKohen. Uva'asa El HaKohen, you should come to that Kohen within you. That just like Aaron was, Aaron never deviated from his passion, from his excitement. Why? Because he understood that every day was a new day to do the mitzvah, and was as if he did it the first time. He understood Hayom Hazeh. He understood the concept of Hayom Hazeh. And when we're Vasa El Kohen, when we come to that internal Kohen within us, when we arouse that Aaron Kohen within us, and we have that same passion, Asher Yiyah B'Yamim Ahem. We understand we are there in B'Yamim Ahem. We understand the importance, the critical importance of living B'Yamim Ahem in these days right now. We're not having anxiety about the future. We're not having worries about our past. Uva'as El Kohen, the mitzvah Bikurim teaches us that we have to come to that internal Kohen so that we are living B'Yamim Ahem in this day right now. That's the Hayom Hazeh so many times in our Parsha. This is the underlying message of Parshas Ki Savo. And this is what every one of us needs to imbue within ourselves. If we're going to prepare ourselves properly for Rosh Hashanah, don't have anxiety about my past. I've done too many negative things, or I know I'm still going to battle those same battles. Don't have anxiety about my future. Yes, I can make the change today. Yes, I could do Daf Yomi today, but I don't know if I could do it tomorrow. I don't know if I'll keep it up next week. I know I can't keep it up throughout the whole Tishrei. Win today. Focus on today. Win that spiritual, emotional, psychological battle. Just win it today. And you think, well, I'm not going to keep it up. Even if you don't keep it up, what you accomplished today was incredibly profound and incredibly beautiful and incredibly important. And that could tip the scale on the Yom Hadin. And so every day as we read Parshas Ki Savo, our job is to focus on Hayom Hazeh. That's what Bikurim teaches us. That's what Lovin tried to be Aker from Klal Yisrael. And the more we imbue this within ourselves, the more powerful our teshuva could be, the more powerful our simcha could be. And so when Hashem says that if we're focused on this, then on this day, we become a nation. On this, that our nation needs to be focused on Hayom Hazeh as we approach the coming months of the coming days of the Yom Noraim. So Amir Hashem will learn from Avram Avinu, who was Zakin Baba Yomim. We'll learn from Yaakov Avinu, who Yeshli Koel, and all of us will have the focus on Hayom Hazeh, and all of us will try to imbue within us the midah of Koel, so that we can be Marba b'tshuva and Marba b'simcha. And Amir Hashem, the combination of tshuva and simcha, should bring us not simply to the Yom Hadin, but to the Iskalos and Mashiach Tzidkenu, so it will be zeicha for the coming Mashiach even before the Yom Hadin, so that all of Klal Yisrael, the entire world, will experience the Ksiva v'Chsima Teva and the Shana Teva Unsa. Oh, how do you spell Lamed? Yeah, ayin. Aker, like ayin vav kuf resh. Aker Safel. Yes, please. Very much so. Yeah. Correct.
It reminded me, I think of another Rashi when Hashem is talking about those Chodesh. I think that's in the Pasuk that the Chodesh has there.
Yeah.
And maybe pointing, right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
The moon, and we always learn that the moon is about renewal. So there's the connection of renewal.
Beautiful.
That's there.
That's usually Shani Tager's job to add to my shiur. So that's beautiful. It's rubbing off. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay, let's do a Tehillim together just to conclude the shiur, and Tehillim for this in the schus of Achisenu and our brethren in Eretz Yisrael, and wherever they may be. Klal Yisrael should be safe. Our hostages should be returned. Our IDF should be safe. Tehillim 121. Shir lamaloi sesainai hori miyayin yavo Ezri Ezri meimarinoi eis shemayim biaretz. Ayitin l'miraglecha yanim shemrecha hinel yanim leishan shem Yisrael arinoi shemrecha nitzilcha yad yaminecha yem mashemesh leikacha v'yireach b'layla arinoi yishmarcha mikara yishmer es nafshecha arinoi yishmer etzeischa v'yecha mi'ata v'yad eilam. Thank you so much, everybody. The shiur will continue Amir Hashem after Tishrei. It's usually Parshas Noach or Parshas Lech Lecha, but we'll send out a WhatsApp and let everybody know. Have a wonderful Yom Tov, a Ksiva, Chsima Teva, and a Shana Teva, and Sukkah to all of us and to all of Klal Yisrael. Amen.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, just a reminder, Chai Elul, this Shabbos is the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe, and we have a beautiful dessert Malava Malka in the Chabad house this Mitzi Shabbos with a guest speaker, Dr. Matis Schulman, who is speaking on the convergence of tshuva and psychology. And so everybody's welcome to join, the free of charge. Welcome to join the Chabad house this Mitzi Shabbos at 8:30. And then there's a women's holiday. When is that?
Monday.
Monday, thank you. So women's holiday at Chabad as well, and we'll send out both things on the website chat. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.